Hello everyone, you're listening to Decoding Top Digital Performers, a podcast series with a goal to decode what made digital companies successful and how the entrepreneurs behind them did it. My name is Srdjan Sukara, entrepreneur, business developer, and just a regular guy interested in many topics, but mainly tech, fitness, cars, and fashion. This podcast is brought to you by JSGuru, your tech hive for software development, UI UX design, AWS professional services, and consulting in mentioned fields. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. But before we start the episode, I would like to introduce my speaker. Born in 1982 in my hometown of Banja Luka, a prime example of how traditional education, hard and smart work can get you really far in life. During his studies in Austria, he was engaged with Siemens, UNDP, Fraunhofer Institute, and Magna International. Then goes to Switzerland, and after that ends up in Deutsche Telekom HQ in Bonn, Germany. I have a pleasure to talk today with Borislav Tadić, Senior Vice President of Deutsche Telekom. Hello, Borislav. I'm so happy that you're today with us. I'm happy because I have a real prime example of success from my hometown to discuss about many interesting topics. And I guess thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your kind words and thanks for the invite. I'm happy to talk to you. So
you came to Banja Luka for vacation, or?
I'm currently here combining vacation and basically some business obligations. It's this corona pandemics created certain changes in our environment, and basically based on those changes, it's we learned how to use many of the digital tools today. So most of the organizations, our business partners, our employees are now very much interested and keen on using the digital tools, therefore being able to work remotely. And I, of course, use this opportunity to stay connected with them, but also to combine one or the other weekend to see my family and enjoy Banja Luka.
But unluckily we didn't have some good weather while you were here, so.
I know some good times, some sunny days. I know some bad days. Also, how I look at it is when it's raining, the nature will be greener. I always try to look at it from the positive side, and
at least the whole pandemic situation got the nature going, like recovering itself a little bit. So it's good. It's better that you say what's your role in before we go into further topics for our listeners. Maybe your official role is like Senior Vice President at Deutsche Telekom. That's really serious.
Exactly. So I'm Senior Vice President at Deutsche Telekom. We're a group which is present in some 50 countries around the world. We are one of the largest telecommunication operators in the world, offering the full spectrum of telephony, internet, and ICT services throughout the globe, from the most innovative digital solutions up to the very basic infrastructure, which is I would say a DNA of the digitization and DNA of the digital society. So basically, I'm in Deutsche Telekom Group since 2009. I was working in various departments in various areas, also in various countries where our Magenta Group is present. And now I'm proud to be responsible for technology in the northern regions. That means basically both building the best networks in the world and maintaining the best networks in the world. And we are very ambitious there. So I'm very happy to be there in technology in that specific frame of time. And I'm looking forward to the ventures which are coming.
Cool, really cool. And did you guys, during this pandemic and everything, did you have some discussions about the future, and did you see some increase of people using telecommunication? Of course you did, but I'm sure that telecoms are still venturing out into new business models, but what's the situation like now?
That's a great question. It's you always think you're prepared for everything, and basically then something like a world pandemic arrives, and then you realize that basically even some of the models you were thinking, you were considering early, that they will be put to the test, and basically we are, as I said, a provider of leading digital services throughout the world with our partners and in the various environments. And I have to say that it was an interesting experience for us as well. Our own, we had to, like this formula when they say eat your own dog food, we were basically there to understand how our organization can use the digital tools, but also the new ways of working to stay productive, to stay healthy, to stay connected during the pandemics, and as well to live our important role which we have in the society. In most of the countries where we are present with our telecommunications infrastructure, it was crucial that basically hospitals, schools, critical services, emergency services stay connected. And basically, yes, as you said, we had certain peaks, certain spikes in the usage. However, everything went well. I have to say, due to the specific engagement of various engineers, various departments, keeping it connected. We also had priority lanes for corona cases or corona environments or corona institutions which are related to corona outbreak, and basically everything went well so far. But we as an organization also learned how to cope with those tools. Some people who are like very rarely been using different digital tools or remote work, working from home, etc., now switched basically from one day to another, switched from 0 to 100%, using the tools, being home, and still staying productive. So it was a learning curve for us as well. And I said, what I'm proud of is that we basically saw that what we were always presenting and marketing outside, that we could live that, and it kept us going. Yeah.
So you didn't
great.
have time to relax, huh? During the
Sadly not. Sadly not. I mean, you basically have meetings throughout the day. Basically, my meetings start around 8 o'clock and they end around 1900 hours if I'm lucky. And of course, hundreds of emails and calls and different topics. I enjoy my work. I'm very passionate about my work. But I have to say, it's good to have a mix of presence, like the meetings in person and the WebEx conferences, Skype or different Zoom conferences, etc. But if you have only one or only the other, so then basically you get tired very quickly. So it was in the first weeks, I have to say, having tens of meetings per day or tens of meetings during the week, it was not an easy element to go through, just switching from one conference to another.
But you're a little bit lucky in that way, because you're working for a German company, and Germans are like well known for their discipline, and I think the meetings you are on are like well thought, and they have a strict agenda, and you're not talking like about some stuff like...
Yes, you have to consider that, I said, from some 220,000 employees we have in all these countries. It's originally a German company, but it's already an international corporation. We have lots of people in the United States, T-Mobile US, one of our leading, I would say, flagships in that regard, but also in many other countries. So the cultures differ, but true that we try to stay focused, we try to stay structured. And there is one team which basically is a bit less mature in that regard, and some teams which are more mature. But we found the right balance, and I think it worked perfectly well in these times. And I think we learned a lot from the crisis.
While I was in the US, like I mentioned previously, I was there for a month, and I bought a T-Mobile SIM card. I remember that. I was very satisfied.
That was a good choice.
Yeah, it was good. It was the best possible deal we could get there. Then we can maybe talk about a little bit of 5G.
Sure.
Because you said you're in charge for high-speed network integration.
Best networks, etc. Yeah. My primary role is currently focused on copper and glass infrastructure. So we do optical lines and basically fixed network infrastructure, which is a basis for 5G. You cannot have 5G without having the high-speed optical lines. So that's without dispute, that's without element. But however, I have to say that 5G is one of the cornerstones of our network strategy. We're extremely successful with it. We are pioneers in both in European and in a global context. And I have to say that 5G rollout goes as well as planned, and basically I said you have to consider many aspects in the 5G rollout, and the technology is basically evolving as you're implementing it, which is also new, like we did, and we made previous experiences also with 4G or with 3G or previous generations. It's always a learning curve, but at certain point in time, it becomes a standard, it becomes all around, and it will bring many good opportunities and interesting opportunities.
I know there's like 3 different, like the highest speed one, the proper one, and then the lowest.
You mentioned one important aspect. Speed is one of the qualities of 5G network, higher speed, better speed, almost coming close to certain aspects of fixed network. However, it's not the only characteristics why companies and individuals should be attracted to the 5G. Let me give you 2 other examples. Latency, yeah? So with 5G, you'll have way better latency, and you know that latency is critical when it comes to gaming, when it comes to other
importantly gaming. Yeah.
Exactly, gaming, of course, but also, let's say, if you have a surgery, online,
Of course,
every millisecond counts. So therefore, latency is one aspect. Second aspect is, for example, layering. Now every network is used by everyone, so basically everyone competes for the certain segments within the let's say previous networks, 3G, 4G, etc. And now we're able to cluster. So the users. So basically, that you say that, for example, emergency services can have their own layer, companies and certain areas within the cities can have their own layers, and then basically you can have also the, let's say, a standard layer for normal customers and private customers. So it's very exciting what all the other features of this 5G technology are, and how this will develop and grow.
I've been dying to ask you, there's all things happening in the world, and people are burning down the 5G towers because of the conspiracy theories and everything. Do you guys go in a meeting and say, like, think about that? Like, are we going to have trouble with, like, people in the countries burning down 5G towers that we build or something like that?
Honestly, there is always a discussion about, health issues and the mobile technology. However, as you can see in the previous, let's say 20, 30 years of intense usage of mobile technology, there hasn't been any proven relation between the health factors and mobile telephony. Of course, you should be using it in a moderate fashion, you should be using it in a meaningful, but even if you don't, there is not a comparison or something that can at least according to the scientists and the health institutions, can go wrong. However, I would say that the more people don't know certain technology, as if it's a new land for them, they start to build certain theories, and it's not necessarily that they do it from malicious intent, but they do it simply because they believe that this might, like they are concerned, for example, for their children or something, and it's important that in those cases that we are very much sure and aware that we check the facts, that we check who's the source of certain stories, and that we're basically making a educated judgment about some things that will impact us. And if you look at it, most of the comments about the 5G are coming from the areas which don't have a 5G implemented still, because I said the rollout is still not complete, or it's even in the beginning phases, etc. So basically, there hasn't been any practical experiences with that, and I said, I believe that it's premature to bring it in relation to any health issues, especially with Corona, which basically, that these theories are, I think, dangerous because some people in some countries, luckily, not many of our customers and people in our environments, but in some countries, there are people burning towers or, cutting the lines in the fixed network, optical lines connecting the towers. So it creates damage, but the damage is the least problem. Someone can get hurt. There's a bad picture which is being generated, and fears which are being spread without any reason.
And the media just jumps into the PR and everything because it tracks views and everything. So it's.
They're also trying. I have to say that media is also trying to get the best possible picture about it, so that they are not. That they are also not, prematurely jumping to conclusions or creating stories which are not fitting the reality. So I know that there are lots of good media which are really looking into that, trying to inform themselves before they start reporting about it. So I think it's a good effort, but it's a learning curve for us all.
It's a difficult thing to explain because, like, 5G, if you were trying to explain it to a regular person how it functions in the background, it's really difficult for them to understand. So they're not seeing it. So, but to the point of 5G, I know a lot of stories from like our grandparents and like when they got the electricity and everything, they were like scared if they don't turn it off on certain time before 9 p.m. they're not gonna be able to sleep because of the light. It's not natural, or like they didn't want to buy a fridge because they thought everything from the fridge is gonna make their throat sore and that kind of stuff. So it's definitely like something that we need to adapt and needs time.
If you ask me, although I'm in very long, I would say since my career beginnings, basically in a digitally related industries, ICT industries, and similar, I can tell you that I think that the real, I think the people should be really concerned about how they spend their time. I think it's more affecting if you sit a lot, if you don't move a lot, if you only limit yourself to certain, let's say, virtual events, virtual friends, virtual fun. Then in those cases you somehow tend to have more health problems than from any other, let's say, frequency related or anything else.
Couldn't agree more.
So I think it's important for people to balance their lives and basically, especially also their business lives, to find a good measure in everything. And I think then basically the technology will be only helping and supporting them in that effort.
And it's usually simple stuff: what you eat, sitting down, and that kind
moving.
of
Exactly. I mean, personally for me, as I said, it's 8 to 8 sometimes, or 8 to 7. However, there's rarely a week where I don't do sports 5 times a week. I have to admit, I cannot do many sports currently in this phase of my life, which demand group work, where I can say, let's, I don't know, girls or guys, let's go and meet here and let's go play something, let's say, I don't know, football or something, because probably I'll be late because simply I'll come after the business is done, But however, that's not an excuse. I regularly go jogging, regularly go to gyms.
When do you usually work out?
Gyms, or I go to bouldering areas where basically I do climbing or swimming. I try to do long hikes, or when I'm traveling, I try to do active vacations. So let's say 10 to 15 days of every day doing intense sports. So basically, I try to balance it that way, And I would recommend to everyone to find a balance. Someone has one sport or one hobby, the other person has something else, but there's always something you can balance this sitting in the office, sitting in a meeting or in a WebEx, and basically...
in some countries, people are waking up at 4:30 to work out, and it's a crucial part of their life. Even though they have kids, they have obligations, they have a lot of stuff on their plate.
Exactly. And you have to find something that works for you, because if I would say there's a rule, I would go probably in the evening. Mostly I do my trainings in the evening. However, I had days or weeks where I was doing it in the morning because it was not possible the other way. You have to find something that works for you. Everyone has someone is a morning type, the other person is an evening type, and I think it's important to find that. And if you can do that in a group, that's even better, And
I believe that you can become a type. Like if your obligations are making you work out early in the morning, then you need to fit it in your schedule, right?
Exactly.
Maybe it's good that we talk a little bit about your early beginnings, early career and everything. So you were born in Banja Luka in 82. Then you finished high school here. Started your college here, right? And then went to Austria.
Exactly. That's exactly how it happened. I'm very proud of my beginnings here in Banja Luka. I really like this city. I really like this environment.
I noticed that. From every story, I feel that you're connected with your family, with your friends, and that they played a big part of your life.
Absolutely.
And I have a feeling that it was hard for you to...
Sure, it was. I mean, it's already... I think I went with... I went as I was 20 years old, 21, and basically... It's already a long period of time. I can say that I would say almost half of my mature life. I'm in some other countries than here. But I have to say I tried really to keep connections, not only here, and not only to come to do some kind of standard activities expected from people who are living in the diaspora, but also to stay engaged, to stay connected, to try to give certain contributions, to understand how people are thinking, and try to, I would say, engage or help in certain directions, but also to give others the chance to see how the other side or other parts of the world work, independent if it's Western Europe, United States, but also Africa, Asia, or some other regions where I traveled. So basically what I decided, there are some things which I learned here and some things which I learned there. Some, for example, I would say improvisation skills, pragmatism are the things which I'm carrying from here to any environment where I go, and I like that. And I like certain elements like openness, communication, which we don't need much time. people from this region to get connected to other people, to speak with them, to start discussing, to start, I don't know, going out or something like that. That's what I'm bringing from here. But there, in some other countries, I learned, I don't know, structure. I learned focused approach. I learned certain elements which really helped me throughout the career. So I would say mixing the both worlds, independent where you live and work. It's the best possible scenario, you know. So
was that your unfair advantage, like that openness and then communication, and what would you say like people from the Balkans have that really is valuable and people appreciate it somewhere, let's say Germany or US? Where?
I think, for example, openness is one of the elements, you know, openness and I would say in most cases a positive attitude. Yeah, most of our people have a positive attitude, open attitude. They are willing to experiment. They are willing to try something. They have a certain also a group feeling. Let's do this as a group. It's not only individual elements. Let's do this as a team, as a group. And I think this is positive. However, what I notice is that certain people who change the environment learned also how to become hardworking in some other environments. You know, one thing is to be smart, and one thing is to be open to new things and ready to do certain activities. But the other thing is to stay focused and to basically be hardworking. You know, I always take the example, I don't know if you watched the Netflix show on Michael Jordan and the team, basically simply hardworking. If you need to go to the baseball court and shoot the ball and for hours and hours in order to improve your skills, you have to do it. And it's same in the business. You know, you try to improve, you learn every day something new, but you have to understand that without the focus and without taking so-called end-to-end responsibility from the original idea, from the concept up to the final implementation and sustainability of your concept, basically if you don't do that, there's not enough elements, not enough ingredients to be successful. So I would say that combined with these good skills from other environments, in every environment teaches you something. I think that rounds it up. Huh?
You know pretty well both sides, our Balkan mentality and you know the mentality of many nations. And what would you say, like, what's our biggest disadvantage? Like, we have some certain traits that are really specific for the people from around here. Like, what would you say if someone travels and then I don't know, wants to succeed? What kind of mentality should they get rid of?
That's a good question. It's hard because everything can be both advantage and disadvantage. You know, if I would say, like many other nations would describe the people from the Balkans, but also generally southern nations, you know, like Spaniards, Italians, Greeks, etc., like emotional. You know, they would say you're emotional in the meetings. You would put passion into it, but you might say, you know, like or give certain hints or certain actions which might be interpreted as emotional. You know, like you're not rational, you're not there, but you're emotional. And this is something you'll hear. Honestly, I don't think that's a disadvantage. I think if tempered right, if used right, it can move people, it can motivate people, it can bring another dynamics in the meetings and projects. However, if you ask me for one thing which is there, maybe I would say, if you look at it, we would often have many smart people who would say, I want to, I'm right in this topic. I'm right, you know, I had right, I told you so, you know. We would have that, and maybe they will have
opinion.
They will heavily opinion, but they would really have right about a certain topic. They were correct. They were maybe first to foresee it, etc., etc. However, what you sometimes lose through that is that you say, is this relevant for the outcome I want to have? You know, let's say I told you so that you would, I don't know, that there'll be a hole here in the road so that the bicyclist might, you know, like fall into the hole or you know, like you get stumbled over it, etc. So you might do that, but that's not useful. If you know that there's going to be a hole, go and repair it or find the people who will repair it so that no one with the bike or walking around the road will fall into it. And this is something that we sometimes lack. We would say, I told you so there's going to be a hole, but it will be better if you know that and you repair the hole before it happens. So
I will try to, like, we are not result focused, right? We are, generalization is bad in general, but I think that's true, because people just complain, but they don't give like the solution. Give me the solution.
Absolutely.
That's way better.
Let me give you another example. When people who don't know me from the Balkans approach me and speak about certain career opportunities, they would ask me, which foreign languages are needed in this job? I know probably I would say English, fluent English, fluent German, or something like that. And their first reaction would be to say, I have a Cambridge certificate in English. Or they would say, I have a Goethe Institute German certificate. Instead of showing me that they can speak fluent German or English. So this is something that we need to change. We need not to do it because of the diploma or to show someone that we did a good Oxford or Cambridge kind of degree, although they are very valuable, not to get it wrong. But what we need to do is to simply transport this message that we know to do something, that we are result-oriented. So if someone speaks English fluently, honestly, I don't care where he or she learned that English. For me, it's important that it's fluent, that it's both in written and in verbal communication, something that we can use and leverage for the business. And that's the prime effect. I'm simply focused on that result and not on the way how you achieved it or what the brand is on the thing.
Were you hardwired that way, like from the beginning, like result focused?
No, I have to admit, I also went through a learning curve. I was thinking like, this is important. For me, it was interesting. Like maybe my first discussions, I don't remember if I ever said something like this to someone. But I think during my first years of faculty, when I was changing the environments, especially going more from academic into the business environment, I was tending to say, I don't know, I had 5 math subjects, 5 math classes in university. And then I saw that honestly no one cares, If you know to do math, that's great, because you're about to be an engineer, But no one cares if you had 5 or 3 or 1, It's important that you know how to do it for a job. So I have to say, I went also through that learning curve, but now I'm really always thinking, what am I getting? Is it when I'm, for example, doing some kind of degree or program, etc.? I did the Stanford AI program last year. I was not focused that it's from Stanford that I'm going to have in CV. I'm going to have a Stanford Graduate School of Business. For me, it was what will I learn in these days through this online and offline or presence course there in Stanford campus. It was a fantastic learning experience. But for me, it was important. What am I taking with me, and can I apply it in my business or in private or in another segment of my life?
It's good to know that Stanford is useful.
Stanford is useful, and it is useful. It's great if when you get in. It's also great for networking. It's great inspirational environment, especially with their labs. Their campus is amazing. You have more Olympic medal winners there than in many countries together. I mean, they're almost. This university alone is as strong as many other states in sense of the number of the medals. It's fantastic attitude, like this winning attitude. But of course, Stanford per se, or any Ivy League university, or any good German or English or French university, Italian university, is per se same as this example with diplomas. I mean, you can have it, you can show that you have a nice logo on it, and it's very important or sounding good. But if you don't know what to do with it, that's useless,
But can you like pass without knowledge or something like that? Are like way of getting around?
Probably there's always a way of getting around, but most people, when they get that opportunity, for some people it's
really valuable.
It's very valuable opportunity. Once in a lifetime, maybe very expensive. They worked hard for it. They don't want to then screw it up by
makes sense.
Going around. But potentially, it's always possible.
What's really interesting for me when you were studying in Austria, many people from here leave to Austria because we were in the same country once, and there's good relations. But you went there and you made a really successful career, and the name of the podcast is Decoding Top Performance. So, what would you say? What was crucial for you that made you go to Siemens? After Siemens, you went to you worked for UNDP also. You worked for I'm probably gonna butcher the name.
Fraunhofer Institute and Magna and some other institutions.
We need to talk about Magna because I'm a big car guy, but and I didn't know until you mentioned about.
I have to say it was a very exciting time. I have to say for me it was also a time where I was self-discovering my own interests. what do I want to do more, in which area I want to do more. For me, it was important to create a result that will not go into the drawer of a table, like just to say, okay, I made something for the trash can or just for the, for the library.
Yeah.
I wanted to always have a concrete result, independent if I'm working 3 months, 6 months, 3 years or 10 years on something.
You were result driven.
Result driven, but it's very important that you understand not everyone should expect to be from the first minute, to know what they want and what their strengths are, where their passions are, because for me it was fantastic to be that Siemens, for example, offered me a chance to work there and to know their environments both here in Bosnia and Herzegovina and in Austria. However, and to offer me the chances to stay there afterwards. But honestly, it was interesting for me. I was excited. How is the automotive industry working? How is the academic sector? For example, Fraunhofer Institute was basically the organization where MP3 format, which was before all these streamings, audio streamings, was invented and basically patented. So basically they had like top minds, and I was interested in how does that work, And then Telekom, again, with telecommunications company, digitization driver, etc. So it's always like discovering your own interests and making qualified decisions. And honestly, you can make a bad decision. It's not a bad thing, like it's something that happens on a daily, monthly, weekly, whatever, yearly basis. However, it's important that you, when you see that you don't feel comfortable with something or that something is not going good, to put the measures in place that will work. So for me, in that environment, it was interesting to know all these companies, to interact with different people, to learn from them, learn. I can say, yeah, I can program something at the time. I was able to, create a software within 2 days, which normally they planned for 3 months, Cool. However, I never felt anything special about it. And honestly, I don't think I'm in any way in that regard special. It was just about being focused then, but also understanding that was my passion, But however, in some other things, in some other domains, I had even more passion or even more drive. So I was trying to find where my value add and my interest will be, like the become a best fit and everything else. So it was an amazing journey. I liked Austria. I have many friends in Austria still, and they'll be hopefully lifelong friends will remain, and I'm very gladly there. However, there was a point where I was basically doing a trade-off. I was 5 years in Austria, and after those 5 years, I was already getting used to the environment, and I enjoyed it. I had many friends. I had many social activities. Basically, my life was somehow complete there. But then some other opportunities arose, and I said, okay, if I'm not using these opportunities now, when will I do it? So I went out of the comfort zone, and then moved first to Switzerland, then went to Germany. From Germany, I went again on the project assignments, on specific assignments to South Africa, where I was living in Johannesburg. Then I went, for example, to the United States, where I was living in San Francisco. Then I came back to Germany, etc. So it was, and also in Germany, I was working in Bonn. I'm currently, for example, my office is in Hamburg, in northern Germany. So it's simply when you recognize the opportunity, as long as you're able to take the part of your social environment with you and stay in contact with your family and friends, you have to use that opportunity, even if it means, of course, a bit of transition and everything that comes along with that.
But what I really liked about the story you mentioned is that, like, finding a passion for people it's really hard. Like, burden yourself from early days, like when you started your college studies and everything, you burden yourself like, I need to find something I'm passionate about, and it doesn't go that way, right? It doesn't go.
Sure.
What's your advice for someone who's, even people like in 30s, in 40s, they think, okay, I need to start working on something that I care more about. Like, how would you go to find something that you're more passionate about? Is it surrounding yourself with many different things and trying them out, or something else?
Especially trying them out on the interfaces between two areas. Let's say that you're interested in biology, but you're earning your money in the IT, and then you would say you're working in IT, but you're still interested in biology. Everything around biology excites you, and you speak about it with friends, with colleagues, etc., etc. So then I would suggest not to break from 1 to 0 to go complete switch. from one area to another, but to see, okay, is there a bioinformatics? There is actually. What can I do in bioinformatics? Is it like, I don't know, can I work on projects related to genome, to diseases, to COVID, to whatever? And then through that, to slowly come, but surely into another area, and to connect with that other area, and basically then somehow to have let's say feet in both grounds. For me, it was, for example, I was very much interested in social sciences, also in economics on one hand. On the other hand, like my father, I had a strong passion towards engineering. And originally I thought I have to choose, either I'll be engineer or I'll have, I'll be someone who knows business management and does, for example, understands social sciences. And I was like, I believe that. But however, then I saw, especially in many other countries in Europe, I think it's here also becoming more and more popular. There is these areas which are like business informatics or something, which are exactly at the interface of these areas. So when you choose them, either in your work or during your education, you can basically enjoy the both worlds. Leverage the strengths of one world and learn it or apply it to another world and transfer it to the other. So I'm really excited about it.
And possibly while you do that, there's some universal skills that everybody can use, and it's really good for their career. For example, negotiating or selling.
Exactly.
You need to sell yourself, even though you're a scientist. Then maybe you need to sell for your project to get financed or investment, that kind of stuff. So it's good to also have those universal traits and knowledge and skills. So
of course, it's said you need expertise, but you can leverage many things from different areas. In sense of, like, when you mention selling, I repeat to my people constantly in every environment, to many of my mentees, I say, do good things and talk about them. You know? Don't just do good things and don't talk about them. Don't just talk, because no one, like, if you just talk, it's not useless. It's useless. But if you do good things and then talk about exactly these things which you did, or about those things, and you try to give those things also to other people and share them and share your knowledge and everything, that's coming back, and that's a fantastic approach. So basically, I like it. I live it in that regard. You should not be too shy, and just say, okay, I'm working for. On the other hand, many loud mouths, I would say, would also not have a big success. So some balance is important.
You need to do your homework and check who's doing the stuff and who's not. But when I was reading about you and doing the research, basically, you said your advantage at Deutsche Telekom, because you were so interdisciplinary.
Yes.
Is that the right word? Never
Yes.
mind. But that was your advantage.
Sure.
One of the advantages that you had. So that's also good. Like,
exactly. And you have to recognize where you can add the maximum value add in the current moment. Theoretically, let's say originally in the Deutsche Telekom Group, I was an external consultant. So I was there doing strategic consulting, management consulting for different companies and public institutions around Europe. However, then basically my next role in Deutsche Telekom, I was working in corporate IT. Role after that, it was Center for Strategic Projects, which was basically dealing with large transformational projects. Then I was in charge for strategy and staff of area which is dealing with legal and compliance and those topics. And now I'm in technology, which is basically, you can code it as NT, or network technology. So basically every time I'm changing the focus, because I see that there is an opportunity. For example, in the technology, especially in Germany now, this is one of the biggest construction efforts, biggest building efforts in technology context since decades. We are building what was originally, after the Second World War, renewing the copper infrastructure. Putting the telephone lines in the ground, It was exciting. It was then a big venture. Now, what was that then? Now it's a fiber. We are a fiber factory. And basically we are producing and maintaining and building, connecting people and offering them chances throughout the regions and the cities. And this is an exciting place to be in, And I could say, okay, I could have stayed, let's say, in IT, I would probably also be, moving up to a career ladder, probably slower, but I would be learning way less, having a smaller network. I would probably be, at some point in time, maybe, I would not say bored, but maybe I would be less motivated to do certain things. But through this change in the interdisciplinary approach, you always learn new things, you surround with new topics, and you get new ambitions and new challenges, in order to...
But what's really interesting and unique about you, I would say right now from what I got, is that you were not scared to completely do the switches. Some people are in the comfort zone and say, okay, I'm in accounting and I know accounting, I'm a good accountant, I don't want to do, I don't know, for example, HR. So, but you, how did you overcome those kind of switches? Like,
from the outside, it looks like I'm not scared. I do bungee jumping, I do lots of extreme sports, but I don't believe that there is a classical fear. However, you see the necessity and you tell to yourself, do it. Do it, learn. Just for example, when I took this role, which I'm currently in, that meant for me many weekends where I had to basically learn. It's like learning for a new area, learning new terms, abbreviations, new concepts, new methods of ways of working and environment. This was exciting, I have to admit. This was exciting. This was new for me. But after a certain period of time, you get into the topics, you feel more comfortable. Like you say, that kind of fear goes away, and basically you're then feeling sovereign and you do the best work you can, and then you again start considering what's the next opportunity, where the company can utilize me the best, where can society profit from myself in the best possible manner, and then you try to prepare yourself for that switch. And then after that switch, you're again, entering this small phase where you think, how will it go? I have to learn a lot. I don't know all the terms. In the meetings, you're supposed to lead people, and you're probably the person who knows the least in the room. However, through your common sense approach, your previous experience, you complement that, and after a quick
and nothing's too complicated. Like everything is made for people. So even like AI, those kind of things, you can explain it, and the regular people can understand it.
Absolutely.
No need to get scared. That kind of have that kind of feeling.
You mentioned AI, for example. It's a new topic for many of our colleagues, and I have to say we still don't know where the limits or where the areas are where we can fully apply it. And we as Deutsche Telekom have numerous initiatives which are really going extremely well, from the early pilots up to the proven concepts which are already working in domains of AI. For example, in our area, we're very much considering now to do a predictive maintenance, which means basically if we know that certain lines are in certain state, let's say certain network connections, and that we have to change them or adapt them, then we go basically, and we are hoping through our approach to be able to predict when the maintenance will be needed, so that we can dispatch our teams, so that we can replace them, so that basically the customer doesn't notice anything, in that regard. And this is, for example, one of the elements where we try to apply this new technology. On the other front, we have, for example, augmented reality, where we want, if we have less experienced technicians, or technicians working on an equipment which is completely new to them, or let's say colleagues which are not in technical domain, but they are actually at the customer premises, and they see a device or they see a broken line or something, and they don't know how to fix the problem. They can use augmented reality, even through, for example, through their phone or through improvised glasses or whatever
is that already on the field, or is
we are piloting it actually right now. And basically the other colleague, which is sitting in a completely other city, having that knowledge what happened, he can basically, or she can actually lead the other person on the train and help solve the problem quickly, so that it doesn't become a problem for customer at all. So basically we're experimenting with many other things, and many of the things, especially let's say you can do it also in finance area, where you can calculate, for example, your capital expenditures, or you can plan and forecast your financials better if you're using AI. AI says this is a prognosis based on your historic records and your behavior up to now, and your spend in this year. We expect that you'll at the end of the year spend so much, or have these volume of investments. So there's really an area where you cannot apply AI, artificial so augmented reality, or any other technology, IoT or something else.
You deal with so many topics, and then you have so many different tasks. Do you have like a methodology you go through your day, or is it some kind of productivity?
Yeah, I do actually. I feel I have first, like I try to keep one simple tip. I mean, we can talk about this for hours, but I can give you 2 or 3 practically applicable tips. If I get emails independent through which channels or messages through some channel, I try to process in the way, of course, based on priority. However, I don't move any tasks which are not answered or solved out of the inbox, until I solve them. So, and I always try to keep this number of tasks, number of unresponded or non-actionable emails in my account, in my inbox. I try to keep them as on a low 2-digit number. So let's assume I was 2 days on vacation and I have 260 emails which are actionable
quickly.
So I have to, of course, you dispatch many emails. There's organizations, whole big organizations, thousands of people which support you in that. However, there are certain things you have to deal with with them by yourself. And then one thing is, first, I said I don't want to lose anything through creating too complex systematics, so that I don't know what I addressed, what I delegated, what I solved, what is irrelevant. Some of the things you can delete directly if they're not relevant. So this it was earlier. It was called getting things done. GTD method. Exactly. But I choose only. I never follow.
What's necessary.
I never follow the method in a dogmatic way. Neither agile, neither any other. I just say I cherry pick the methods which I like, or parts of the methodologies, and then I apply them in.
But you basically described the getting things done methodology, because exactly. I read the book, and like it's like that. You pile up tasks, delegate what you need to delegate. There's some tasks you don't need to tackle.
Exactly. But there is no holy grail in that. So basically, someone will find some other methodology which works for them, or an approach. This is one thing, and the other thing is also, I would say, one of the most important things when you come back after 2 days of vacation, and with all the support and thousands of people you have, when you still have, let's say, 260 emails which you have to. That's just imagine one value,
number,
but it could be larger, it can be a bit smaller, not much smaller. But I would say, when you see that, it's just important that you don't panic, that you don't think like, oh my God, what will I address first? Make a logic in your mind. What is important? Who is it coming from? What has to be addressed? Does it have a direct customer impact? Is it a topic that can be solved or discussed in 15 days, or it has to be done today or next week or this week? To go through that and basically just stay calm until the situation stabilizes. Let's say from 260 I would come to 40 open items in the inbox, and then I would say, okay, this is a standard. I cannot probably go, unless it's I don't know, New Year's holidays or something, I cannot go lower with that. But that gives you certain calmness, and you just all the time think it'll be solved. We have the things. I have to stay consistent, deal with these issues. They'll not solve them by themselves or by ignorance, but there is no reason to panic.
Some of them will.
Maybe some of them will, but maybe not in the manner we expected.
Yeah, from those 40 you get like 5 really important high priority things that need to get solved, and then later on you continue. Exactly. Why I ask you that, because people that see you performing, you're a person with many responsibilities and performing on a high level for a really like one of the most known brand in the world and in large corporations. They think like you're doing some magical stuff, when you're like doing your daily task, but your day looks almost the same as any regular business person. Exactly. You go through your tasks, you just need probably have a little bit more structure through your day and think a little bit more strategically, but in general, it's simple things that everybody can use to improve their workflow.
Exactly. I was privileged to work with many people who are, for example, board members of the different companies, C-level executives, and I enjoyed that. Why? Because basically you see that, like you said, they're also normal people. They're smart. There's really someone who's not smart at that level, and they have lots of experience, especially the independent of cultural background, gender, or something. They really have a lot of experience. Everyone works in a bit different manner. However, you see certain traits, like getting things done. Let's not the method itself, but simply get things done. Don't talk about them. Don't delay them. Don't theoretically process them. Just get them done. Do it in a manner that you involve the team, that you involve the stakeholders, that no one feels left out. Stay curious, that's one of the also the Telecom's guidelines. Stay curious and grow, grow every day. Even, I was fascinating seeing board members which are over 60, or around
Still
60,
curious, right?
and still every day learning something new, reading articles, reading books, trying to improve themselves, although they basically achieved so many business goals that they don't have to do it so it's fascinating, and you take those bits and pieces and try to create a story for yourself.
Well, I guess people here, because of our past and everything, when they get to those years 60, 70, they stop learning and think that the life is pretty much like gonna stagnate, and it's gonna be so that's a little bit sad, but you can really truly live a fulfilled life even in those.
Absolutely.
So
Look how many supervisory board members are there with 70, with 80, etc. People keep active, they keep their minds fresh, they keep continue improving themselves. Can you imagine, like for us, switching from digital tool A to B is nothing, for someone who's like 70, 80 years old. They need more, but when they achieve it, they did way more than we do. For us, it's like now it's easy. For them, it's hard, and their success, therefore, it's way bigger, way more important because they do it. And I was fascinated. My current organization, I have very many employees which are above 50, very many. And we were speaking about the good part of the organization. And honestly, in the beginning, I was used to work with the people who are my age or younger, or around that, and I would say, except the C-level board members or such, they were I would say a bit older than I am. And then basically coming to an organization, I have to say that I was asking myself, how will this work? Will this work? Will they be able to change, to transform, to adapt new things, to form or lead a dialogue in the ways that the new generation do? And the answer is positive. They do. You just need to give them chance. One or the other will probably need a bit more time. However, the quality will be better because they have experience and everything. And what I always say, and this is also one of my messages for the people in the Balkans, maybe coming back to one of your original questions, is I don't want people in the Balkans to feel, let's say, old or out of date when they surpass, 40, 50, and they say, okay, I'm soon going to retire, so I don't know, I know no one wants me, no company, no institution. So no, that's the wrong attitude. First, my message to the institutions and to the companies and everyone else is to offer the chances. Trust me, these people, if they're motivated, they can do the same job, in some cases even a better job than the younger generation. And give them the chance, give them facilities and environments and tools that can help them grow, and they will do it, and you're going to see fantastic results. So my experiences there are great, and I changed also one of the things which in the past which I would consider impossible. Yeah. I think it's perfectly possible, and I say to myself, "You are dumb to think different." It's
a presumption,
exactly. It's like prejudice in a way.
Yeah. Any plans for Deutsche Telekom regarding like our country, Bosnia? I know you have presence here because you own Croatian Telekom. Croatian Telekom owns a little bit of HDRnet, right?
Yes, so. That's correct. You're well informed. We have a minority presence here in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We have Hrvatski Telekom. We have Makedonski Telekom. We have Crnogorski Telekom. We have several companies here in the region which are incumbents or leaders in their domains. We are now focused very much on the U.S. market, I have to admit, and
Sprint merger and everything.
It's a big merger, exactly. Sprint, and it went through. It lasted a bit longer than we expected. However, everything is going as planned, and we expect good results out of it. And it was really a fantastic effort of our board of management to get that through. So we want to close this in a proper manner and to get the leverage the effects which we expected in calculating the business case there. We have a fantastic growth there. So currently our focus is on that side of the ocean. Yeah, that doesn't mean that when the opportunity arises, and depending how the European markets will develop, especially the telecommunications market here in the regions, that I would not exclude the opportunity to say let's look at the region and see if we can.
Is T-Mobile becoming the largest in the US telecom?
We are planning to be the largest. Yeah, that's in our plans. Currently, we are not, but we are planning to be the largest. We have the growth compared to the AT&T and Verizon. We have the biggest net growth since several years. Every quarter We have many new customers. We're speaking about I think the net add over 1 million customer every quarter, yeah, so and every month. Many new users, many new services, fantastic coverage, many new innovative concepts. Therefore, we are definitely getting in a leadership position there. I think I believe that Mike Sievert and the other fantastic colleagues there will make the difference. And basically, I think we're on a good path to become a leader in the US market as well.
Very good. It's certainly one of the most competitive, so it's interesting to see. And the CEO of T-Mobile, right? He has a certain charisma, and you can see him a lot when there are conferences and everything. He's speaking, right, all the time on the
we have amazing Mike Sievert, which is really now driving the US organization in this after the Sprint merger in a complete new setup. We had John Ledger, which was prior to CEO prior to him, which changed our brand and then motivated our employees in a fantastic fashion. Like where people got, like, I would say, magenta addicted. Like so addicted that you can say that they have a magenta blood into flowing through their veins, which is amazing success. To turn the business from number 4, from I would say almost a lost cause into the biggest or the fastest growing operator in the US on that market. It's a fantastic story. It's a sustainable story. It's not just like happening over 3 or 4 months. It's happening already for several years, constantly going up while the competition is moving the other direction. So I would say that's a great thing. We can learn a lot from T-Mobile US. Yeah.
Do you have in Deutsche Telekom? Do you have like a team that goes and acquires startups and looks for good ideas and then?
Sure. Absolutely, we do it in many ways. I said about that we can also talk for hours, but I would probably, if I try to consolidate, I would say on one hand we invest in various companies on different maturity stages, ranging from startups up to the companies which are already.
And they can be global. They don't have to be
global. It's important that you have a solid development, clear business case, clear value add, clear vision of the management team, good and loyal and motivated workers. So basically we look at that. There's one part which is focused on investments. For that I would recommend, for example, to see what Deutsche Telekom Capital Partners are doing, DTCP. Then we have our partnering department, which is fantastic, well connected, both in Silicon Valley, in Israel, in Southeast Asia, in Europe, very well connected, which are looking for potential partners with Deutsche Telekom to develop and grow services together, and to, in some cases, to market them together, to promote them together, not the classical reselling, So we do that in our business development and partnering. I was part of that organization in San Francisco, for example, for a while. A great experience. Then I would say we have, of course, the incubators, also in Poland, for example, in Berlin, etc. So we have opportunities also to offer the chances there in a fashion. And also we have our classical R&D, which is, for example, cooperation with universities from Germany, from Israel, where we are looking into the ways how we can position our telecom laboratories, T-Labs, which are working on leading edge concepts and technologies. And basically we try to be there basically early on, also in this academic scientific way, so that we can very early also get a head start to commercialize these and leverage these technologies. So all the different variations. So I think very much open to opportunities, and also educating and offering chances to young people, young professionals throughout the world. Yeah.
Cool. I would like to go back to 5G, because again it's a really hyped up topic. When do you see like full 5G coverage and many countries like having it? What's the time period? Is it like in 5 and in I don't know, 2, 3, 5 years?
I would say in a couple of years, yeah. So it's I cannot be more precise because it depends on many factors. Let me give you a simple example. You want to have 5G. You want to put the 5G antenna on a tower somewhere in a rural area. You choose the country, because it's the same in every country almost. And in order to do that, in order to enable 5G in that regard, you need a fixed network connection. You need an optical cable, fiber cable to that location. In order to put that system technology and line technology, how we call it, fiber into the ground, you need to dig, and you need to put that. And you would say, okay, it's just a normal construction works, nothing complicated. However, in order to do that, you need to first check if the area is commercially interested in that, or maybe supported by the state or by the local authorities. Exactly. And then you need to get all the permits to to leverage, you need to you have everything from the security of the way, the pathways up to see, in some countries even to see if there are bombs from some wars under the ground before you start digging. So I could say, in an optimistic scenario, we would have 5G in many of the European footprints, big cities especially, like big urban areas with high concentration of the population very soon. Yeah. However, if you're speaking about the last mile, if you're speaking about the everyone getting the equal right to access and to use the technology, it'll take some time. And I think the fragmentation of the regulation market in Europe is also one of the reasons for that, because we have different regulations, not only between the different countries, but also within the countries. This country is also example for that. You have different regulations in different parts of the country, but you also have it in Germany. In Germany, you have
a really complicated example of
but however, you have it. I mean, you go and you look at Germany, which is, I would say, a very developed country, and you see also that every of the states, Bundesstaat, they have basically their own regulation as well on top of the country's regulation. So basically, almost every country has that. Some countries even have regulations, very specific and tough regulations on the city or municipality level, which is basically, it's like a layered cake. You have a country regulation and a regional regulation or entity-based regulation. And then you have the city regulation, which says, I don't know, here you can do this, dig at this depth, etc. So, or here you can put the tower. You can put the tower here, but not here. So basically, this all prolongs that process. So it's not only about the technology itself getting more mature, which is also a way to get, but also about these practical building infrastructure issues.
It's definitely. Yeah, the US is also the same example. You get federal, then state laws, then that kind of.
Also, yeah.
I like to when we end the podcast, I like for you to give some advice, probably to younger audience that's listening. For example, on the last podcast we had also some useful advice for them regarding getting out the comfort zone and trying stuff in life. We talked about your studies and how you had the mindset of, besides being result driven and the kind of stuff, what would you say is also being important?
I would say a couple of things. Number one is be positive. Look at everything from a positive perspective. Don't be a idealist or a clean optimist, but try to look at every situation, even the pandemics, even everything is an opportunity. Everything can be seen in a positive way. Don't forget about the rain. Rain can, of course, mess up your evening plans. However, rain is making sure that we have a beautiful environment, a natural environment outside, that plants are growing, that the economy and basically the quality of air is better, etc., etc. So try to look every problem at every topic and every problem also from a positive perspective and see how you can solve it. Second topic would be focused. Choose yourself topics where you want to be successful and grow. Make yourself plan. Make a plan for 5 years. Make it rough. Make it strategic. Make it as a mind map in a way. In the most important areas of your life where you spend the most energy and time, and then try to make a yearly development plan. How you want to get through one let's say calendar year for step by step, but only counting towards those goals which you defined in your let's say 5 year or longer way. And basically having that, then stay focused on those things. Don't grab every ball that's thrown to you, but those which you believe that will guide you through your objectives which you define in a 5-year plan. However, don't get into the trap that you define the plans for 20 years. You can of course make a vision. I want to be, I don't know, not me personally, but let's say someone else would say, I want to be, I don't know, the General Secretary of the UN, and that would be a perfectly legitimate goal. So don't be afraid. Nothing can, if you set your mind to it, there's no reason that you say it won't work. Yeah, it will work. However, you need to say, okay, from this goal, what do I need to do in the next 5 years? What do I need to do in the next year? Let's say I need to get internship at the UN headquarters in Vienna, for example, or I want to meet as many people who work for the UN as possible, etc. So try to define concrete and specific smaller goals going towards these 5-year goals and going towards this ultimate vision of where you want to see yourself. But don't get so much tied into it that that you don't get flexible when the change occurs. So I think this is important, and we spoke already about getting out of the comfort zone, having a normal dose of, let's say, fear and respect towards the new land where you're getting into and everything and trying out. Be ready that maybe you will not succeed from the first or second or the third time, even that you will every time confront some tough discussions, some maybe tough projects. You will always encounter them. However, they will pass. And as your inbox gets full with 260 emails, tomorrow it'll be maybe on 40 emails or 40 messages and 40 tasks. But you will manage that, and go through that, and still then balance it. As the last advice, balance it also with your private life. Don't neglect it for any business in the world, for any ambition in the world. Balance it with your family, with your friends, with your with dear people around you, but also with sports, with whatever makes you happy, with theater, with books,
travels, whatever.
Exactly, and basically that makes you a complete and satisfied person. A satisfied and healthy person is someone who will surely be successful in every sphere of life.
What's your broader vision, if we can know it? Like, do you have one, or is it still developing?
I definitely have one. If I can define it, and it would be interesting to see this interview then in I don't know 30, 40 years. I don't know. I would say is to leave a positive legacy in my both personal and in my broader environment. Yeah. When I see about the legacy, I mean something that is. I don't believe that we are here on this world only for ourselves, ourselves personally. I think we need to contribute. Some people can contribute more, some less. Yeah, depending on the opportunities you have, you can contribute. And I think it's very important to define for yourself what kind of contribution, what kind of legacy you want to leave to your environment, to the world. And basically, I want to leave that kind of a legacy. And it doesn't have to say, this is my name, this is my statue or something. I don't want that. I want to leave a measurable legacy. Is it yet something that you leave to the kids? Is it something to leave to the broader environment? To build a school or a park or something small. I don't believe I'll be able to maybe leave a contribution like some other people would do, let's say, Bill Gates or someone else, because they started from a different environment. They had maybe a couple of more chances. However, it's important that you define yourself a certain legacy, and then to work hard to leave that legacy and to make a world a better place with you in it and after you also in a certain point in time.
Yeah, you never know. Many things can happen, and you just need to stay true to yourself. Well, thank you for this, and then like I said, I'm really, really happy that we did this, and I hope we will have another episode in a couple of months or years, and see what happened and how things developed, and with you, with Deutsche Telekom in general. But again, thank you. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation. I wish you, your team, and all the listeners also to stay healthy, to stay positive, to use the chances to connect, to enjoy life and enjoy their pathways. I'm sure that they're gonna have wonderful careers and wonderful development. And I would be happy to hear about it also from you and your colleagues.
Well, thank you for listening the second episode of DTDP podcast. In this episode, we had the pleasure to talk with Borislav Tadić, Senior Vice President at Deutsche Telekom. Be sure to subscribe in the future and stay tuned.